Welcome to Sleepover Cinema, where we analyze the films that created the collective unconscious of those who had a Greek mythology phase in elementary school. I'm Hannah Leach, a writer, musician, audio producer, and someone repulsed by the word sassy.
And I'm Audrey Leach, director, editor, producer, and unfortunately re-employed.
And I'm Josh Isn't, musician, pro gamer, and notable boyfriend of Hannah. And I am someone whose brain has been permanently altered by the musical stylings of Danny DeVito.
We are the sister duo, also
featuring
known
Josh
as Tubing Productions, and we haven't stopped thinking about these movies since we first saw them.
We're going to explore the good, the bad, and the nonsensical of the movies that first inspired our love for film in an attempt to answer the question, are these movies actually good? And at the end of the day, do we really care if they are?
Today we are talking about 1997's Hercules.
Almighty Zeus, please, hear me and answer my prayer.
Hercules,
How do you become a true hero?
look inside your heart.
Walt Disney Pictures presents
Who was the gladiator?
Stronger Than 10 Men. And having a devil of a time
Name is Hades, Lord of the Dead. Hi, how you doing?
trying to prove himself.
Get ready to rumble! My favorite part of the game, sudden death.
This summer, come on, take off on an epic new adventure
I'm right behind you, kid! I'm way behind you, kid.
featuring a monster cast,
Guys, Olympus would be that way.
a hotshot villain,
I've got 24 hours to get rid of this bozo, and you are wearing his merchandise!
and one true hero.
Zero to hero, a major hunter. Zero to hero, and who the thumb?
Get them!
It's the man,
Hercules.
Hercules.
the myth,
I'm an action figure!
the movie.
And hey, two thumbs way up.
Hercules.
All right. Well, first of all, it's Easter, the day we're recording this. Christ
He
has
is
risen.
risen.
He is risen, and Josh has risen to the occasion.
I am risen.
Josh, how would you explain your relationship with this movie?
Hercules defined my childhood 100%. I was obsessed with this movie. Everything about it. Still am. The music, all of it. Just, it was everything to me.
We've been really looking forward to covering this movie with you because near the beginning of us dating, at some point, the songs, I think A Star Is Born came on shuffle in the car one day, and like this part of you that I did not know existed just emerged.
I think it's the show choir part.
Yes. And
Yes.
it was really impressive, and we're happy to have you back.
I remember being in the car. I think it was a doc thing.
Yes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
started doing Zero to Hero or something.
Which, by the way, to video viewers, you can see we are sitting in our parents' bedroom in a row, all in person, which is exciting for us.
Yeah.
Huge.
I
Yes.
look like the moderator for the presidential debate.
Yeah, she's in the middle. It's
These are
great.
the opponents.
Yeah, we're going to fight. We're definitely going to fight. Okay.
Josh, time to present your question for the culture.
Okay,
Yes.
yes. So my question relates to what this movie means to me. So my question is about swords.
Okay.
I love swords. I love all things, Renaissance fair type energy that really,
Yes.
I think that Hercules was where I first saw this though. And so my question is,
Where you first saw a sword?
well, I first saw I think it's where I was like, whoa, I want to do that,
Yeah.
Is there anything inherently heterosexual about swords?
Well, that's a little, because there's like a lesbian tattoo that's like a sword.
Yes.
there?
I think,
Like
yeah.
I see that all the time.
I feel like
So I guess not in that respect.
no, I think
Let me
in
look
my
that up.
younger years, I may have thought that it's like strictly a boy thing, but I just know too much about fantasy things now to think that swords are specifically straight.
I kind of feel like I would have more opinions about knives than swords.
Well, what are your opinions on knives?
I feel like there's something feminine about a knife.
like a little,
like a daggery knife.
they have it in Snow White.
Yeah, I feel like there's something in there. But swords?
Okay, so you're thinking like a sword.
Yeah, like a big
like
sword.
a prince sword.
Yeah, like I don't think about swords. I would think
I
about
don't see swords.
daggers.
I see a
swords.
slender little dagger.
Daggers and like
Switchblades.
something like that.
Okay, this has brought up something big, I think, which is that like I feel like to some people it's like a sword would be like a phallus thing. Where it's like, look at my big
Yeah,
sword.
I'm thinking
like
of like a fairy tale sword.
right. I think when you think like animated prince sword, it's one thing, but Hercules is so campy that to me it doesn't really fall into that exactly. And also when I think of Hercules, I think more of like brawn than weapons. You know?
Yeah, more muscles.
He doesn't slice anyone in the entire movie.
Well,
ever.
he tries to slice.
Oh, he does slice the Hydra.
The
Never mind.
Hydra.
I take that back. I take it back.
Yeah, notable slicing.
No, notable slice, but it's like the only slice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except for when Meg says slice.
Yeah.
Well, that's the question for the culture. If you, listeners
Yeah.
at home, have opinions on swords, did you play with swords as a kid? I did. Let us know.
And you're not the only one. You would like this. We should find a picture of this. I was a witch for Halloween in like 4th grade. And of course, I got a sick little dagger with like jewels encrusted in it.
Right.
And I wore it in my sash. And it was sweet.
That's good.
Love
See,
to
that's
find that.
nuanced witch
Yes.
cosplay there. That's definitely.
Yes. It
You,
was
you
so
think
good.
maybe like a broomstick? No, you have a dagger.
A dagger.
And that makes it cooler.
I think it was like a sorceress situation. I got to find that picture.
All right.
Fuck, I forgot I had that. Good. That's unlocked. Okay, so we have much to discuss, obviously, so I'm just going to get us right the heck into the facts here. So, this movie, Hercules, was released on June 14th, 1997, a mere 12 days before Audrey's birth. Quick maths.
That's
Just
crazy.
witnessed that.
Nice math.
Thank you. It was rated
Gemini.
It's a Gemini film. It's rated G. It was directed by Ron Clements and John Musker, who are two icons of the Disney Renaissance. They wrote and directed Hercules, Aladdin, and then also Moana and Princess and the Frog after. But Foley wrote and directed The Little Mermaid, were involved in Beauty and the Beast, also did Treasure Planet.
Okay.
I know you like that one because it's a boy one.
It's cool.
Boy movie.
I haven't seen it
Boy
in a long time.
movie.
It definitely doesn't have the same thing to me, but
Yeah,
it's cool.
still though. So those men were doing their thing, and then they also wrote Hercules, but there were 21 people who had writing credits, 18 of which were men, 3 were women, which will perhaps come up later
What the hell?
in this episode. A lot of it was like
Why-
storyboarding type
But
stuff.
why are they getting written by credits? This is unusual.
I know, I don't know. That's what
Huh.
I found though. Okay, so into these synopses. The IMDb synopsis is as follows. Hercules, son of the Greek god Zeus, is turned into a half-god, half-mortal by evil Hades, god of the underworld, who plans to overthrow Zeus. Hercules is raised on Earth and retains his godlike strength, but when he discovers his immortal heritage, Zeus tells him that to return to Mount Olympus, he must become a true hero. Hercules becomes a famous hero with the help of his friend Pegasus and his personal trainer, Phil the Satyr. Hercules battles monsters, Hades, and the Titans, but it is his self-sacrifice to rescue his love Meg which makes him a true hero. That was pretty
You
good.
don't even need to watch the movie.
That was pretty good. Okay.
That's great. Should I do a voice?
You can.
Sure.
Bestowed with superhuman strength, a young mortal named Hercules sets out to prove himself a hero in the eyes of his father, the great god Zeus. Along with his friend Pegasus, a flying horse, and Phil, a personal trainer,
Not quite.
Hercules is tricked by the hilarious, hot-headed villain Hades, who's plotting to take over Mount Olympus.
That is not accurate, really.
That's...
Also, that was letterboxed.
Rotten Tomatoes. Disney tackles Greek mythology in this animated feature. Hercules, a son of gods, was snatched as a baby by Hades and forced to live among mortals as a half
Yes, he
man,
was.
half god. Now, as a teenager, Hercules needs to perform a rite of passage on Earth to prove himself worthy of living with the gods on Mount Olympus. With his plucky satyr sidekick, Phil, that's his name.
Yeah, but
Along for the
Philoctetes.
ride, Hercules must learn how to use his strength to defeat a series of evil creatures. I feel like those 3 together are actually so much information that
Yes.
you would not need to watch the movie. Like,
Absolutely.
I will
the
say
Rotten
that
Tomatoes one didn't include Meg.
I would say Meg is really downplayed in these.
Yeah, Meg is not acknowledged.
I mean, which we'll get into later, but like I think that's valid because
Yeah.
I don't see that being the most important part either.
No, it's definitely not.
So
Interesting.
should it be the most important part? Like once you watch it, I was like, oh shit, like Meg like is a main character, but in my mind beforehand, I was like,
She was
I didn't
significant
remember
in my
that.
mind, but it will.
Anyway,
We'll talk about it.
taglines. The first one is a comedy so big no theater can hold it. I guess
What I could see online,
no theater.
a
can't
comedy
hold it?
so big, no theater can't hold it.
I don't know what that means.
I have no idea.
It's definitely can hold it.
I just found it that way in multiple places.
A comedy of epic proportions, 0 to hero, who puts the glad in gladiator, and you can run but you can't hydra.
Those are so bad.
That's so dumb.
Who put the glad in gladiator is so stupid out of context.
It's so dumb, but I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the cast. I tried to not get too crazy just because there's a lot of people and we have to talk about the muses because they're really important. So, okay, first of all, the narrator is played by Charlton Heston, who was Ben-Hur in Ben-Hur. He was also in The Ten Commandments, Omega Man, and Planet of the Apes.
You go, girls.
That. Tate Donovan is Hercules. He's best known for Hercules, Argo, Shooter, and Manchester by the Sea. James Woods is Hades. I know that he's like, I don't know, he was like big for the 90s. I don't really know shit about him other than this though. He was in Vampires, The Virgin Suicides, and Videodrome. Then we have Rip Torn as Zeus in Men in Black, The Man Who Fell to Earth, The Larry Sanders Show, and Freddy Got Fingered. And then we have Danny DeVito. I know, Freddy Got Fingered.
Icon.
Danny DeVito as Phil, best known for Matilda, Mama from the Train, War of Roses, Batman Returns, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and also just like him being himself. Josh Keaton. Hey, as young Hercules, Josh.
Wow.
He is like a really accomplished voice actor in TV shows and video games, but he's best known for The Spectacular Spider-Man, Voltron, and Metal Gear Snake. And then last for the main cast, we have Susan Egan as Meg. She is a Broadway star. She originated the role of Belle in the Broadway production of Beauty and the Beast. She also is the voice of the English-speaking dub of Lynn in Spirited Away, who's like the cool older girl in the bathhouse. She's also in Steven Universe and Man of the Century. So the Muses are an interesting part of the movie, interesting part of the cast. I have a couple things to say about them, but first of all, I just wanted to talk about who is who. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, it's the girls who are singing throughout the whole thing, like the gospel chorus. We have Lilius White, and first of all, they all have names, technically. Lilius White is playing Calliope, who's the main diva with the headband. I met her in college because she was doing a musical at a place where I was interning, and she was really cool. She basically, all of these women I'm gonna list are like very accomplished Broadway divas, which is just cool to know. But Lilius White played Calliope, and in Greek mythology, Calliope is the muse who presides over eloquence and epic poetry, so called from the ecstatic harmony of her own voice. She's like the chief of the muses. That's the title. And then we have Cheryl Friedman as Melpomene. That's the long-haired diva, the tall one. She is the muse of tragedy. That's why she has the drama mask. And then we have LaChanze as Terpsichore. I'm going to say that that's correct. She's the one who has short hair with the Bantu knots. She's the muse of dance. Then we have Roz Ryan as Talia. She's the fat one. Of course, she's the muse of comedy. And then Venice Thomas as Cleo. She's like the mid-height one with like that clump on her head, like the bun thing. And she is the muse.
That's the one that I remember the least.
Yeah, I know. She's the muse of history/lyre playing. Two little things about the muses. So when I was in college, I had this professor. Her name is Kirsten Childs, and she's a really accomplished musical theater writer. If you've ever heard of The Bubbly Black Girl Sheds Her Chameleon Skin, it's like a very, it was like a landmark, like autobiographical musical about being a black woman. She was always like, the muses in Hercules are problematic and piss me off because basically their whole existence is a punchline. Because it's like Greek chorus when you think chorus, you think gospel chorus. There's no reason for there to be a bunch of black women in Hercules. It's just a punchline. And I had never thought of that before. And I was like, damn. So then today, when I was getting this together, I was like, let me research and see if this is like a commonly held thing. And I actually ran into a lot of the opposite take from other black women. And so obviously there's no one right answer, but it seems like my professor was in the minority. But I read this whole article by this girl who was like, it was like a Substack type thing. Like she had just written it herself, but she was like, this is like magical black woman excellence and Disney and blah, blah, blah. And then other people are like, this is fucked. So
I think what I've noticed, and what I noticed, we'll talk about this more later, I'm just going to touch on it now, is that the setting is ancient Greece, right? But it's all in reference to 90s America.
Yeah.
So they're a way for the audience in America to like
relate to it in some way.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To be like, this is our Greek chorus, but they're not a traditional Greek chorus. They're like a gospel chorus, like you can find in America. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think it
Could be
also,
half-baked.
because the whole concept of a Greek chorus is not that it's a literal chorus. It's not like they're singing, you know?
Yeah.
I also feel like the idea that they're a punchline is almost a little bit reductive, because I think it's more like they're a Greek chorus, but also they're a gospel chorus, and like the gospel of Greek mythology is another thing. But like in a way, it's like sort of your point about it being culturally relevant is good and combines with this, which is that it's like there's parallels between people singing the retelling of stories of their faith.
Yeah. I feel like they didn't think that hard about it. And, you know,
kind of, but it also
agree,
kind of just, maybe not, but it just kind of works in like, from a viewer perspective, it just kind of works. Like you like it. It's great. And it's a great narrative like device.
Yeah. I think also one thing to keep in mind too, this is probably a big part of where Kirsten's opinion came from, which is that this movie came out in the 90s. There still were no black lead characters in any Disney movie. Mm-hmm. And so they booked all of like the top black woman Broadway talent and then made them like be a caricature.
Yeah. Or made them not a storytelling device rather than a character themselves.
In the article I read that the one girl had just like taken upon herself to write, she was saying, and it felt like kind of a reach to me, but also like we do shit like this all the time, where she was like, in the beginning when the white guy narrator voice like hands over the reins to the gospel choir, it's like basically she was like, that's feminism. And it's like, is it? I don't know.
Okay, so the budget for Hercules was $85 million approximately. Opening weekend made $249,567, and the worldwide gross is $252,712,101. So it's a flop.
So like in the end,
in the beginning, in the very beginning,
it was a crazy flop.
But that kind of makes sense.
$249,567.
Not even $1 million.
No.
It's a grower. It's a grower.
It also came out the same weekend as
to grow. That's more like it.
It came out the same weekend as Men in Black.
Yeah.
Which was a big part of why they were like this sucked.
And this just feels different for them too. Like they were focusing so much on princesses.
You know, actually, I was looking at the Disney Renaissance releases, and of the things that are labeled Disney Renaissance, only 3 of them are princess movies.
Yeah.
There's 3 princess movies and 5 or 6 male character movies. Got Aladdin, Hunchback, Tarzan,
Famous
Hercules,
Man, the Hunchback
guy.
Yeah. And were those the ones that I watched the most?
No. Critic and audience opinions. The critic score for Hercules is 82% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the critic consensus is fast-paced and packed with dozens of pop culture references. Hercules might not measure up with the true classics of the Disney pantheon, but it's still plenty of fun. And then here's some critic opinions. I looked up Roger Ebert's review, as I do with movies that are like 2000 and earlier. Yeah. And he said like nothing notable at all, but he gave it like 3.5 stars. So I was like, okay, cool. But okay, so some more interesting critic opinions. Chock full of celeb cameos, puns, and contemporary camp, this movie is annoyingly hip. Next one. An insipid, lifeless animated feature.
Dang.
Next one, insipid. Next one, kids will love Hercules. It's fast-paced, it's funny, and it has a very positive message. Adults will enjoy it as well, thanks to its animated artistry and sly wit.
It does have a sly wit.
It does have a sly wit. And then lastly of the critic reviews, the most flat-out childish film of the Disney Renaissance. This is both its great triumph and ultimately the reason that it's so hard to care about it all that much. Wow.
Okay.
We normally react that way to the critic.
Yeah, we
Anyway.
always go, okay.
We're like,
'Cause
okay.
I never agree with like any
Yeah.
of them.
Mm-hmm.
Common sense media. Parents need to know that Hercules, what it really means to be a hero, is a shade darker than many other Disney blockbusters. There's a lot of gore and intense, scary stuff for a G-rated movie, including gruesome monsters and end-of-the-world images. Floods, fires, ice storms, mass destruction that might overshadow the more lighthearted musical components. Some kids may also be confused or even upset about the underworld and what happens when people die. Families can talk about real-life heroes. What makes someone a hero? How does society treat its heroes? Why do we buy products endorsed by athletes or movie tie-ins? How do real-life heroes compare to the heroes in Hercules? Is wanting to be a god a good reason to want to be a hero? Do we see any evidence that Hercules or anyone else in the movie has much concern for the well-being of the community? Does this movie seem scarier than other animated kids movies?
Given that it came out right after Hunchback of Notre Dame, I feel like it's definitely a step down in scariness.
Yes. Do you know
Yeah.
what Common Sense Media is?
Yeah. I'm familiar.
I love Common Sense Media. Their questions are always so good.
They are.
Yeah.
They're such good questions. So that's what the parents were saying. And then audience score and
I like is wanting to be a god a good reason to want to be a hero?
Well-
Because first, why are we even talking about
Like,
that? That's
huh?
not something that matters for
That's
humans.
not a
Also, his
relatable-
motivation was to rejoin his family,
Yeah.
not be a
well,
god.
I would say his motivation was to feel normal.
It's twofold.
Because
It's threefold.
He wanted
yeah.
to feel at home.
right.
He wanted to find where he belongs.
Yes, but I don't think it's about his daddy. I think it's about him not feeling like a freak.
I think it's both.
Family, community, they're kind of one and the
once
same
he
in this.
finds out, because he doesn't even know he's missing his dad until he goes to the statue thing.
Yeah. Audience score and Letterboxd average star rating. The audience score was 76% and the average star rating was 3.7. So I waded into the audience opinions and I fucking knew it was going to be like Meg made me gay. Here's the first
Yep.
one.
It's true.
Meg exists. Me as a young child about to develop my first crush on a woman and subsequently repress it for 10 plus years. Okay, noted. And then we have before the Yeezys, there were the Air Hercs. Get it?
Good.
But
And then-
shouldn't they really say before the Air Jordans there were, you know what I mean? Because it's Air Jordan.
You can take it up
That's
with
why it's Air Hercs.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then lastly, no one, nothing. Nipples and elbows in Hercules, the swirly emoji. Which is true.
More like all objects in Hercules.
Mom was expressing disdain for that design choice before we watched the movie yesterday.
False opinion, but that's okay.
Okay, so lastly, as we know, Hercules is based on Greek mythology, but it is not really actually based on one particular story all that hard. So basically, I was looking up the differences between actual Hercules, who's actually named like
Heracles,
yes,
right.
and what we saw in Disney. So just a few things. And big shout out to the Charles County Public Library in Maryland for putting together this tight little article for me to skim through. So we already know the name difference. A big thing is that while the Disney adaptation shows the gods Zeus and Hera as the parents of Hercules, Zeus was actually the only divine parent in the actual myth. Hercules' real mother was Alcmene, the wife of this other person. Zeus had disguised himself as that other person and tricked Alcmene into bearing his son, who would become the hero Hercules. That's very classic Zeus shit. Classic Zeus shit. Meg, just speaking to her. In the actual myth of Hercules, Megara was a Theban princess that became the hero's first wife. Unfortunately, the goddess Hera hated Hercules and made him go into a fit of madness, causing him to kill Meg and their children. This would lead Hercules to go into the service of this other person to atone for his sins and lead to his completion of the 12 labors.
Eurystheus.
Yes. In most myths surrounding Hercules, he actually married 4 times. Hercules did become a god, but not through doing something noble. It was through dying, and then his mortal part died and his god part lived.
Remember? Last night I was like,
Yeah.
shouldn't you have to die in a specific way to become a god?
Well, that's how it was in the original.
That's what he basically did.
In the original myth, he like dies in a much less glamorous way, and then they put him on like a funeral pyre, and like he like ascends into the heavens and shit. It's like not so exciting.
He doesn't punch Hades in the face.
No, unfortunately, he
Right.
does not get to punch Hades in the face.
Dang.
And then lastly, really just like so much of Greek mythology is so like raunchy and like debaucherous that of course Disney had to like change a lot of that. So like one big example is that they wouldn't let like Hera and Zeus had to be like a normal couple with a normal son to be like squeaky clean enough for Disney.
Yeah.
So just that. The directors were inspired by the correlation of the popularity of Hercules in comparison to that of sporting athletes and celebrities in the contemporary era, with both stating Hercules was the Michael Jordan of his era. And then I just have 2 little fun facts that are just like good old 90s marketing schemes that were
Nice.
done. So in February 1997, Disney did a marketing campaign that was a 5-month promotional traveling tour called Disney's Hercules Mega Mall Tour. It was sponsored by Chevy Venture. It traveled through 20 cities, starting in Atlanta. They had also done this for Pocahontas and Hunchback of Notre Dame. But the tour featured 11 attractions, including a multimedia stage show, a miniature carousel themed to Baby Pegasus, a carnival filled with Hercules-themed game booths, and a 10-minute animation workshop hosted by one of their animators where visitors could try their hand at drawing Hercules.
That's what you had to do in the 90s.
Well,
you had to go to a mall and like force
oh,
people
for
to
sure.
see it.
Well, shit gets even crazier with this next one. So I'm just going to read this straight through. It is worth it.
Read it.
On June 14th, the premiere of the film was accompanied with a Hercules-led performance of Disneyland's Main Street Electrical Parade in Times Square. The parade of electrified floats, which was broadcast live on the Disney Channel as part of a program involving the making of Hercules, traveled from 42nd Street to 5th Avenue.
From New York, the most exciting city on earth, Hercules strikes Manhattan. Tonight, the Walt Disney Studios celebrates the world premiere of its 35th full-length animated feature, Hercules.
The parade also included attendees such as Lauren Hutton, Harvey Keitel, Andy Garcia, Barbara Walters, Michael Bolton, and this other person, as well as Olympic athletes who rode on 30 floats. The media event was not without controversy, as former New York Mayor Ed Cook objected to surrendering the city over to Disney, and critics raising questions about what politicians are willing to give a private firm in return for investment. Local union president said, "I think the mayor gave away the city to Disneyland." Furthermore, 5,000 businesses and residents within the city felt unusually eerie upon being asked to dim their lights as the parade passed by. So somehow Disney like rented out Midtown for this.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What day was that?
It was June 14th, 1997.
That was the day of release?
Yep.
Wow.
Wow, that was just one of the great songs from Hercules that we'll be hearing this evening, and it certainly was a terrific beginning to what we think is going to be a night to remember, Chris.
Sure will. From our booth here on 42nd Street and 7th Avenue, we're right at the center of the Hercules world premiere party.
Feels like New Year's Eve, doesn't it?
Maybe they pissed off New York City with that so bad that nobody went.
That they flopped. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it was a total
Yeah.
equal and opposite reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when did we first watch Hercules? What do we remember about it? When was the last time we'd watched it before this? Should we go first so then Josh can let it rip?
Don't know when I first saw it. Don't know when I last watched it. All I know is that we stole or something the VHS because we randomly ended up having the VHS. Like
I probably got it from Allie Miller when I got Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know.
What I know is that we had The Gospel Truth and Zero to Hero at least, and Won't Say I'm in Love on
Disney sing-along?
sing-along songs. Did you ever have sing-along songs, Josh?
No.
It was just like a super cut of different musical numbers from Disney movies on a VHS.
With-
With like a bouncing.
With the lyrics.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I've seen it. I have never owned it though.
Yes, we had a couple of those. So definitely new songs from it from that. But it's one of those things where like when you see clips from something a million times but you never see the whole movie in full, where it's like when
It kind
you-
of like demotivated me, I think.
I feel like it did the opposite for me.
Oh, I was like, I know the best song or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
they chose the song for me to know.
Yeah.
So I don't need.
Yeah.
I don't think I felt particularly compelled to watch the movie.
Yeah.
But I knew some of the songs.
I feel like when I first saw it might have been at like one of our neighbors' houses, and the things that stood out to me the most were obviously the River of Souls. And of course, when I was talking about this last night, when Meg gets crushed by the pole, I don't know why that was such a thing in my mind. And then when Phil puts like the rock slab like under her head, that was also really in my mind. I feel like I drew that a lot after I saw that. And
Notable scene.
yes, and then in high school, for a show choir fundraiser, my senior year, I sang "I Won't Say I'm in Love" in a lower key than the original, and then got 4 boys, including Brett Castro, who you guys all know now, and Chris, who you obviously know, to wear togas and be the muses and dance and sing behind me.
There's a price for wrong judgment. Well, I guess I've already won that. No matter's worth the aggravation. That's ancient history, been there, done that. Who you think you're kidding? He's the earth of heaven to you try.
And it was great. Brett did the arrangement for it. I remember it quite well. I had to go through a lot to get this video. It was really a journey.
Whoa, no chance, no way, I won't say no.
Okay, most importantly though.
Yes. So for me, I probably first watched it when I was like 5 or something.
Okay.
We didn't own any legitimate VHS copies of anything. Everything was, we rented it, illegally copied it, including the part where it says if you copy this, you're going to jail.
Yes.
Which we've already talked about. So I would go down and to where we had the VHSs, find the one with the masking tape on it that said Hercules, grab that, put it in the VHS. I watch it like every day. I swear. I was obsessed with Hercules. I loved it. There are so many things about it that like define my childhood. There's a picture of me in like my Hercules outfit with the skirt. Why does he have a skirt? But also like go off.
That's like a gladiator outfit.
Yeah.
He puts the glad in Gladiator.
He does.
Don't forget it.
I was telling you guys that there's this part at the end where Zeus gets like the one Titan shoots lava at him and the other one freezes the lava and he's like spinning around, and I would like go in the blankets on my parents' bed and like spin around and like create like a swirl of blanket around me, and I was like, I'm Zeus. So many things from this movie, just like it defined my taste in so many things, like architecture, visuals, styles, music, definitely music. Like
Architecture. Does that mean you only like pillars?
Exactly.
What does that mean?
Yeah, no, I like that, like sort of like classic, like Greek, Roman, like lots of like white rubble marble things with water and stuff. I feel like that's throughout
You
that
would have
movie.
loved our elementary school.
Did you have rubble?
It had
We had
columns in the
pillars.
front. They're called columns.
They are called columns.
Yeah.
I do believe.
Yeah.
I think they'll get it.
I do think they'll get it. I think you're right.
I don't know when I watched this last though. Probably maybe it's been a little while. At least we haven't ever watched together.
No,
so
we
at
had
least
never
like
watched it.
5 years, maybe like 8 or 10 years, somewhere in that range. So we've seen a lot of the scenes of Hercules very recently.
Yeah, but like in like a
stupid
in
way.
a butchered state.
In a butchered state for sure.
Yes.
Also, we watch all of the music videos, like the scenes from the movie with all the songs, like
Often. Yeah,
all the time.
I also forgot to say just one last thing, which is that I had definitely have played the computer game.
Okay, I was gonna say, when are we
Yeah.
gonna talk about the computer game?
We can talk about that now.
There's probably a couple computer games. Which one did you play?
The one that I had, we definitely got from the library. We didn't own it because we used to get a bunch of good games from the library. And it was like a point and click.
So honey, it may seem impossible.
Get ready to hear the true story of the greatest hero of all, Hercules.
Honey, you mean Huncules.
Okay, so this was the one that I had was not a point and click. The one that I had was really good. I think it would hold up to today. It's like a side scroller. You're running around, you're jumping, you're slicing things with a sword. Like boss levels. There's a level where you have to fight the Hydra, and it's in like 2.5D where you're like when you walk, like the camera rotates.
Of course it was.
It's like sort of like, yeah, it's really cool, and you got to fight the Hydra. I think it's funny because like you definitely just like slice the heads until rocks miraculously fall on it.
Nice.
There's a whole scene where you have to fight the Medusa boss, who just like is a character for literally like 8 seconds of screen time.
Yes.
If that.
Yes.
Probably more like 2 seconds of screen time, where he piles up Medusa and the Minotaur and
whatever else.
something
I don't even
else, the
remember.
fish, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
It's a great game. We got to find some footage of this game, put it up on screen because it's great. It's actually really interesting. There's like a couple different perspectives. One where you're running, the Phil training montage. That level was impossible. I got fucked up on that level so much as a kid. You're running forward, and like the camera's behind you, and you have to like dodge stuff and like jump over like all of the things that happen, especially in the last scene of One Last Hope.
One Last Hope.
In One Last Hope, where he like jumps through the hoop of fire, and there's like swinging blades and sharks and stuff. You gotta like avoid all those. It's really good. It's like to the T of the movie. All of it. It's great. and there's another scene like that where you're running towards the Cyclops as weak Hercules. And you just get like fucked up by everything.
Wow.
It's a really good game.
That does sound good.
I have it downloaded on my computer. We can play it.
Well,
wow.
That sounds good. Cool. Okay. So, Disney Plus, it is available. We have a lot to talk about, and we will be right back.
Okay, we are back to talk about Hercules.
Yes, we are.
Disney's Hercules.
Hercules.
Let's start with the songs.
Okay.
Bangers. Every song, it doesn't miss. I love the music in this movie so much.
To me, it's the best part.
Definitely the best part. It's the best part for sure.
Yes. Well, okay. I think there's two things that make it really good. I think, yes, the music is really good. Also, though, I really like how everything is drawn.
Visually,
I think it's really cool looking.
There's definitely some questionable animation in some parts.
Yes.
Not even the CGI, but like I was looking, it's like someone's like handing somebody a pot, and it like just like looked wrong.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we were noting how spatially unaware this movie is, which is pretty excusable because we're talking about we don't even understand as viewers what the scope of this world is visually, because you've got the heavens, the earth, and the underworld.
Yes.
But in like fight scenes, they rely pretty heavily on mid close-ups to close-ups so that where they are actually situated does not matter to the viewer.
Yeah.
Which can be confusing. It's like, in my head, it's like they would show Hades in an extreme close-up while Hercules is in a wide, like, fighting some monster. And it's like, these people can't even hear each other. It's like, where are they? I don't get where they
Definitely some magical realism of
Yes.
he's the god. He's so loud you can hear him wherever.
Right.
Yeah.
It's okay because it's so far from reality.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they are magical.
I just feel like there was a specific illustrator that they modeled a lot of the work off of. And so I think like Olympus looking the way it does and like all the cliffs looking the way they do, it kind of reminds me, like, it's not the same thing, but in the same way that Sleeping Beauty was like super stylized, it kind of reminds me of that. Hera, perfect.
Slay.
Also Venus with the heart-shaped hair.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what made me remember that when I was a kid we had the computer game, because I remember looking at her a lot and I was like, she's barely in this movie. Why would I know?
She's actually has a lot of screen time. She's not a character.
She
She
doesn't
has a lot of
say
screen time.
anything.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's a
it's
lot of
not
random
enough to
gods who are
sit
in
there
there.
and like stare at her. But yeah, Hera being sparkly, all of like the pink ones.
Yeah. There is a crayon in like the Crayola crayon set that is like that exact color of pink that Hera is, and that was always my go-to crayon.
Yes.
It kind
So
of
good.
reminds me of that.
Yes. Going back to the songs. Well, first of all, I have a good thing and like a criticism. The good thing, or I guess it's just a side thing, that getting Josh to sing One Last Hope all the time. That's like my favorite pastime. It's a similar voice to West Side Story songs with the New York accent. Just, it's so good. I want to make you do it, but you don't have to.
You wanna be a hero, kid? Well, whoop-de-doo.
I've given up hope that someone would come along. A fellow who'd ring the bell for once, not the gong.
It's like the one extremely 90s casting choice that like really held up.
Oh,
in my opinion. But my criticism or whatever is that I think part of the like question marks people have with this movie is like young Hercules has one banger song in the beginning and then just never sings again.
He's not a particularly musical guy, you know?
No, it's a bummer. It's a bummer for him to have such an amazing I Want song.
Mm-hmm.
And never sing.
And then he turns into a himbo.
When you get rippling pectorals, you lose the ability to
you
yearn.
can no longer yearn. I mean, it's like he doesn't have a reason to.
So I was thinking that it would have been really interesting to have
Why is there not a duet?
a reprise of Go the Distance.
Yeah,
later.
It's like him in his final beating the, whatever.
Well, he has a
monster
down moment because
or the down moment.
Yeah.
Remember your past, dude.
Right.
Like that seems like maybe that was
Very
an
Lion
idea, and then they had to cut it, whatever.
Definitely.
But like, as a musical, you need that,
Mm-hmm.
and so it kind of veers away from a musical format when they don't return to the song.
Yeah.
And they're also, it's not really a love duet.
No.
I won't say I'm in love if it was a duet.
Yeah.
Where they're like,
why don't we
talking.
have both?
Yeah, he could have been singing to Pegasus, his jealous gay
Yeah.
horse, and she could have been singing to the Muses.
And that would have been actually great.
But it definitely feels like it's missing
Missed
like,
opportunities.
a couple of musical payoffs.
Yeah.
But what they did get, I think what they traded that for is lots of continuity with the Muses. They're always popping in with the reprise of the gospel truth to give he ruled the underworld.
That's just at the beginning, though.
But then Zeus and Hera wept. It's like all the exposition.
That's all in the beginning.
Yeah, but there's lots of it. There's more throughout, I'm pretty sure.
The beginning of Hercules is
Is
the best
the
part.
best
It's
part.
insanely good.
I agree.
Such good exposition.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. It moves quickly, but not like so quickly that you
Yes.
don't know what's happening. Do we want to talk about Hercules as a character a little bit?
Yes, and then we've been holding back so
I know.
hard. I'm
So,
not. I'm chilling though. Let's talk about him.
Hercules as a character, right? So one thing about him is that he's not very nuanced in general. I know I say that word a lot, so maybe I should stop. But he doesn't have a lot of flaws. His flaw is that he's like clumsy, or he can't control his strength.
That's the classic thing, though. People love to have their protagonist one flaw be clumsy.
It's just like so excusable.
I was noticing extreme similarities between Hercules and Rapunzel in Tangled.
Okay.
They both are clumsy. They both have power they can't control. They both know they're missing something in their life and they want to figure out what that is.
And were removed from their parents.
Yeah.
And to have a weird parent, a weird parent situation.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange? Like
It
how
is.
much that does align?
I mean, it's very Disney.
And
it is.
Once Rapunzel reaches her dream, like when she sees the lights, from that point on, you're kind of like, okay.
Well, she gets her new goal.
I kind of don't care what happens in the rest of this movie. And I feel like it is sort of similar with Hercules. As soon as he feels, as soon as he knows who his father is and is a himbo, I'm kind of like, okay.
Well, there's nothing to root for at that point.
Or just like, he's going to be good. Cool.
Yeah. Well, who you're kind of, can we switch? Can we go to the
Are you
next
saying you're rooting
person?
for Meg?
No.
Oh.
I'm not saying that. Okay, we're talking about her. I'm not saying I'm rooting for her, but I feel like that is kind of the only option you have left.
I don't see
that.
that.
That's what like comes in to spice up that like you're at that like 1/3.
Look at my legs; they're ablaze.
Nice exposure.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're at like the whatever, like 1/3 or like 1/2 mark of the movie. A lot of good things have happened, and you're like, okay, I guess we're just vibing now. And then Meg shows up, and it's like keeps it interesting.
Theoretically.
It throws a wrench in Hercules' plan of just like sort of like do good and just
Yeah. It's the new obstacle, because you think, oh, maybe this whole movie's arc is going to be about Hercules gaining strength and whatever, but that happens pretty fast.
He's strong the whole time.
He just grows into his feet.
Yeah, but you know.
Yeah, the muscle mass of his feet and calves have moved up to the upper half of his body.
Yeah, there's a problem with the way that he's portrayed physically. I was saying this last night because as a baby, he's got giant arms.
He's top heavy.
And then as a teenager, he's got skinny arms and giant feet and calves.
He's also like weirdly like what do you call it?
Bow-legged,
Yeah,
yeah.
bow-legged. He walks like that for some reason.
And then he trains with Phil and is just giant everywhere.
Yeah.
But like
it's kind of like a Pokemon. It's got 3 evolutions.
Yes.
Yeah, it's weird because so the whole idea is he did not drink the last drop.
He didn't drink the last drop.
So he still has his strength. I want to talk about for you seeing him. Like, what's going on with masculinity here?
Yeah, that's
I want to know.
Because we're going to be talking about femininity for sure.
I think that the thing about Hercules is that his strength is so inherent that it's almost like that's just his thing. So you don't necessarily have to be strong to do good. You just have to do the thing that you're good at.
Like, did you identify with Hercules?
Yeah, he's, he just like, because one of the things is that if you think about him, especially as a hero, his motives they're self-serving, but they're not self-centered. He's like literally like, I need to go find people and I need to help them because I need to prove that I'm a good person.
Good person,
right?
I think he thinks he's a good person.
No, but he needs to prove that he's a good person.
It's not about being a good. I don't
But
feel like
heroic,
it was worded
so.
that way.
It's not worded that way, but it's the same sentiment.
So they're self-serving in a way, but he's going and doing good things.
And that's something that you wanted to do as a child, or what?
So you want to performatively help people?
Yeah.
Low key, yeah.
Why not?
Low key, yeah.
If you're doing good things for the wrong reasons,
at least you're still doing
you're
good
doing
things.
good things. So go doing good things. The people that he meets, think about it. He goes to Thebes. It sucks. It's a shitty town. He hangs out there.
They got a lot of columns for it being a shitty town.
And he cleans that place up. They are thrilled. They love him. He's bringing in commerce. He's helping the economy.
Okay, but that's fraud in itself. It's like, who says,
is he gentrifying?
You just gentrified Thebes. Literally,
They literally are on the brink of destruction, though.
They were happy.
Says
no,
who?
They were
weren't
not happy.
Says
They were
who?
miserable.
Well, they actually were just fine. They were just complaining.
Yeah, they
like,
were just
they
complaining.
were fine.
It seemed like everything was pretty functional.
In the Big Olive.
Yeah, they
Big
were
Olive.
They were just like being people in the town.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Doing good deeds.
For the wrong reason.
Opinion, you should. Okay, doing good deeds for the wrong reason, better than not doing. good
better
deeds.
than nothing.
And like, but I feel like that's really like dark. It's like no altruism actually exists in the world, and you know what?
Maybe
It's
doesn't.
accurate.
Maybe that's. I don't know if that's actually true though.
Well, the thing is, like, Hercules' goals are non-exploitive, right? Like, he's not exploitative.
Yeah.
He's not trying to do something that in the end will hurt people or bring them down in any way.
Okay.
I mean,
But
he's
let's not forget
Violence.
that when Meg is like, there's 2 boys being crushed in the gorge. And he's like, you hear that, Phil? 2 boys being crushed in the gorge. Like,
Right.
Is he looking for bad things to happen so then he can get the clout of resolving the bad things?
yeah.
Yes.
He
But
is in that moment.
as we see in the movie, he learns that is not the true measure of a hero. Is just sort of like winning. It's about self-sacrifice.
And he learns that when he dives into the whatever.
When he basically
souls.
dies. And
And
then
he
becomes
dies
a
for
god.
pussy.
Yeah.
And pussy only.
Ew.
No. For love.
What are we talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
It's time.
Okay.
It's time.
Okay. When we were watching last night, Hannah and I kept looking at each other and just like kind of basking in the
like
cringe.
Like puking in our mouths.
That is the character Meg. There's so many things to talk about with this character.
I would just like to say that going into this movie, I was like, Meg's an interesting character. She's well-rounded. She's not like a Disney, like quote unquote Disney princess.
That's just what they want you to think.
This is what my child brain absorbed.
Yeah.
And then I actually watched it and I was like, this is so
it's actually
embarrassing to watch. Like, this is so secondhand embarrassing. Like, I don't even know. How did adults make that for kids?
Well, something I was thinking about is how, like, actually sexual Greek mythology is.
Well, right. It's like they took all the debauchery and all of the non-child friendly shit and like funneled it into her.
Yeah, because there's moments. So Hades is using Meg as a tool to kind of weaken Hercules, and so she's constantly put in this place where she needs to like seduce him. Low key, high key.
No, like that's literally her job.
That's her job.
It's all a huge euphemism.
In the whole deal is like, if you do this for me, you can have your freedom. That's a lot to put on this character.
And let's also keep in mind that not in actual mythology, but in this movie, the reason that she got shackled to Hades in the first place was because she sacrificed her freedom for her last boyfriend.
Yeah.
Right.
Hello?
Who then ran off with another girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I don't even know what to do with that. Oh, but when we were watching it, I was like, she's so Lana coded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, so one thing that I thought was like really unsettling about it though is that like, okay, you know how there will be, this is like, you know how there's like moments in Disney movies where there's like rapey vibes and it'll be for
Happens
like a
all
second.
the time.
Yeah, but it's normally really short.
Yeah.
Her whole character is just rapey vibe.
Yeah.
Literally the entire time.
Which is what reminded me of Esmeralda, because it's pretty similar.
Yes, it's also rapey vibes
What
with
do
that.
you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
From her?
Yeah, because she doesn't actively want to be doing literally anything that
Meaning,
she does ever.
Not from her, to her.
To her.
Like
From
the
Hades.
attitude
From
towards
Hades,
her, from Hercules,
from the water buffalo motherfucker.
From every
everyone.
character.
It's like her whole existence is a consent violation, which I know sounds like I'm being like consent violation. But literally it's like,
which, does that align with Greek mythology?
yes. But does it align with the cleansing of everything else?
No.
And that's what makes it so weird.
The Hades thing is genuinely interesting. I mean,
It's
feel
not
like
that it's not interesting, is that he's constantly clutching her. He's constantly like up in her physical space, and she's like, and like she reacts to it in the way that like a sexy girl would react to it. She's like resistant, but not.
Yeah.
She's never not hot.
Exactly.
know?
Yeah.
And they literally animate her ass in a shot, like
A lot.
a lot. It's not that this story isn't interesting. It's not any of those things. I love that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'd like to read it. I'd like to absorb it. But because every element of the movie is being adapted, like you just said, the cleansing part.
Yeah.
They chose to keep in the really overtly over-sexualization of Meg when they were willing to adapt everything else for children.
Yeah.
Well,
right?
Phil Lastastopoulos is horny as fuck.
He is horny.
Yeah, and it's gross.
It's gross.
But it also gets played. It's like a
comedic beat because he's like ugly,
him, which is also sad.
Yeah, like that sucks.
Yeah,
sucks for Phil too.
I think where the problem is or whatever is like, I just know that when I was a kid, I like drew Meg a lot and was very like conscious of her like as a being. And I think like because she's like not like she's like the cool one, it's like, oh, so is the cool one just like doing fucked up shit for men?
Clearly Meg is hypersexualized. That's just a fact.
Yeah, that's
it's like
a fact.
beyond Jessica Rabbit. Maybe the same.
Jessica Rabbit's a little worse.
Yeah,
in the boob category.
Right.
But
in the ass
category.
The thing about Meg
the
is
category
that
is cartoon
her character is genuinely so interesting, makes decisions, influences the plot. She makes choices like all the time because she serves Hades.
Well, she's not making.
No, she does because she can just.
What's the choice?
She's got a forced hand.
Well, her hand is influenced, but she doesn't literally have to do anything. Really.
If she wants her freedom, I guess she does.
Right. So, and for that, she's bartering for herself over everyone else.
He's talking about when she's kind of willing to deceive everyone to try to get her own freedom back in a way, but then she ends up falling in love.
She does that for all of 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's very short.
That's her whole thing, though. She's always like with the centaur. She is like
the centaur.
With the centaur. With the river centaur. The river guardian. The river guardian is a boss.
But she's doing that because Hades was like, "Go show him your pussy," and then she did.
And I'll give you something. And she's like, I can make the decision for myself. She's empowered to make the choice.
Okay, but you only ever see her like. She's never just like going to buy some oranges.
Okay, well that's not interesting on screen.
But it's just
they
like
don't have
everything.
time for
just
it.
everything is like everything is about her like sexual value, either that she is in control of or not in control of. Is that fine as a character? Yes. Is this a Disney movie?
It's for children.
But that's kind of what makes it a little bit interesting.
Okay, but like when you were a kid, what was your perception
of Meg?
Yes,
I loved Meg.
Why? Be honest.
I just thought she was.
There's just not much.
You thought she was
to her.
Thought she was cool. I liked her attitude.
I mean,
is that what they call?
That's what. That's
when I was a kid, I was like, "Wow, she's so like
sassy."
Yeah,
this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's impossible for us to know what is planted in a child's mind.
Yeah.
Because when you're a kid, you're just not thinking about things in these nuanced terms. And
illegal.
So yeah, we don't know what was or was not planted in our minds. Did we just think she's pretty, or did we understand this entire dynamic of like we didn't understand it?
I
but
definitely
we saw
understood.
It.
I think that there's, to me, and I've said this on Sleepover before, like to me, like sassy is such a PG version of the word sexy. It came up in show choir all the time. Like it comes up, and it's like, to me, back in the day, there was always such a distinction between like the sweet princess and like the sassy girl.
Yeah.
And like Esmeralda falls into that category.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a bunch of other characters, Jasmine even, and a lot of it is kind of like racial.
It basically boils down to, will they talk back?
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it boils down to.
Yeah, and then it's like, if they're going to talk back, they have to be like wearing a bra.
But let's talk about something about Meg as a character, as a foil to Hercules.
Okay. Please.
Because
take us there.
I feel like so many Disney love interests they have maybe like a thing. They have like some characteristic. A lot of times they don't have any characteristic. Mm-hmm. You know, just like a generic Prince Charming or like princess. Yeah. Meg is a outlier in the world of Disney love interests, in that she is actually a significantly more fleshed out, infinitely more interesting character than Hercules. You can think she's got a whole backstory. She's got a whole moral dilemma.
No, I don't.
She has a character arc more interesting than the main character.
We're talking about the choices that the filmmakers make.
Yes, and it's also the fact that us, 27 and 25 years old, cannot sit through it without cringing
and is that
violently.
Because that's in-group cringe? Because you're familiar with the whole world of Lana things, and you can see that, and you see that's such a parallel.
If I was by myself, I would feel the exact same way.
But that's such a parallel that you're like, you shouldn't put that on the screen for children, because you know kind of like where that path leads, if you will.
Well, that's valid, right?
What?
If that was
know.
how I felt. Is there anything wrong with that?
I mean, but you support that now. Like that's...
It's like, I hear everything you're saying and I don't disagree with it, but it's just like time and place. You know what I'm saying? And you did it at my birthday dinner. Like
time and place.
It just seems like not the right place for it.
Well, then it's never going to be the right time and place, because you just can't put that in a Disney movie.
And it's not.
It's also it's just the
why
Wonder Boy, like you are this.
Why
my
can't
ass is in the
why
air.
can't she just be a
like,
person?
Yeah, that's
she's
the
just
thing.
not a
because her life has been...
I know that everything's exaggerated in this movie.
Yeah.
Like visual style is exerated.
Mm-hmm.
And that's maybe something we're not giving enough credit to.
Yeah.
I'm saying that her body shape and the Muses' body shape are like basically identical.
They don't sexualize the Muses the way they sexualize
you cannot,
Meg.
Josh, you cannot in good conscience
defend
the ass shot.
The ass shot is...
Look me in the eyes and say the ass shot deepens her character.
It does not deepen her character.
Especially because it was drawn. This is not accidental.
An adult said, the target audience is 7 to 11-year-old boys, ideally. Let's just draw this ass. And let's backlight it so it's kind of like a shimmering ass.
It's literally like
Josh,
one.
why are you acting like it's not
it's
like a cultural reset? Because it is.
It just doesn't stand out to me like that at all. It's like a weird, like, it's like very, okay, does it need to be on stage? It's like, to me, it's just
on
like
stage.
on stage. on screen, it's like, isn't like, ooh, it's not like butt cheeks. It's like.
It was like the dress, like
yeah.
her.
It's
kind
not
of like,
it's not
like,
not her butt.
It's like her waist and butt, yeah.
It's
but
her butt.
not from the backside, from the front.
What is wrong with a woman in a Disney movie using
having an ass?
Having an ass.
Let's turn this around on us. You're body shaming Meg.
Fleshed out character. Okay. Interesting backstory. Makes decisions. Affects the plot. More fleshed out than the main character. Literally could have a whole spinoff devoted to her backstory. I would watch that.
Yes.
Her main power is her sexuality.
Yes.
And her allure.
Yes.
Is that inherently wrong?
Time and place.
I would like to circle back to time and place.
But children, I don't know.
Because she doesn't do anything that crosses the line necessarily.
I would like to say this. Is already, so to the Lana thing, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we are already conditioned enough to think that being, like, sassy but still ultimately, like, subservient to whatever man is in the room is desirable, that's a hot way to be, and we don't need that
an example
that
of it
early
to know that,
you know.
But she's portrayed as strong in the face of adversity.
I don't see that.
I don't think so.
I really do.
That's what they want you to feel. It's that hollow, very hollow feeling of seeing what is supposed to be portrayed as strength. And literally, if you wrote down the beats of the story, yeah, on paper, it is strength. But when you watch it, I never felt a bit of that.
Yeah, me neither.
For a second.
And it wasn't, I did not go into the movie wanting to have an issue with her at all.
Me either.
I was really honestly surprised by how painful that first part was. And like, I knew it was kind of cringy, but I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was. It's also kind of like the downfall of being the one girl character in a thing.
Are you trying to erase the existence of Hercules' mother?
You know,
she doesn't talk.
One of the named characters in this movie is Heavyset Woman.
I know who they're talking about.
I know, but I was
Purple Lady and Thieves.
Yeah, when I was
At
on
the fountain.
IMDb, it was like Heavyset Woman. ... Carol.
What about
Shelley.
Heavyset Man?
I'm sure that's in there too.
Maybe. I bet there's Sundial guy.
Yeah.
You wanna buy a sundial?
No, like I think the movie is really fun, and I'm like, I wouldn't.
It's a really fun.
I
movie.
wouldn't like. I'm not ever gonna say it's a bad movie.
No,
but it's just you can really get sucked into that character study of.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes,
Meg.
Let's talk about the fact that Hercules does not know how to solve a problem aside from punching it.
Is that true?
Yeah,
seems to be true.
Literally, he solves no problems with anything other than his only upside is strength and his only downside is
not knowing how to do anything else.
Can't do anything else.
Let me look at my notes and see if I'm missing anything.
He like name one action he takes in the movie that isn't like fight something or punch somebody.
Going to the place where the statue is. Walking there.
He walks there. He goes the distance.
Yeah.
He literally walked.
Okay. So I think I have a good way to round it up, but also let's just say some other things we like about it, and then we'll round it up.
I think that one thing about Hercules is that we've kind of already talked about it, but like the scale of the movie is it's on a very epic scale.
Yeah.
Like the conflict is like the Titans. Like when he lets the Titans out and they start walking, and the first shot is like the mountain guy, and he's like. When he steps and you can see the perspective, you're like, oh my God, that's the biggest thing I've ever seen in any Disney movie ever.
Yeah.
It's like huge, like this, like that is so cool, man. The Hydra, that scene is I love that scene.
Yeah.
When he goes and he slices the Hydra the first time.
We got to shout out to the early 3D
The early
animation
CGI.
also.
It's like pretty unsettling.
It really is.
It's pretty unsettling, but it also kind of looks kind of good at the same time. Like
I mean,
when it's less mixed animation CGI, it looks like pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, like one thing I noticed, especially in that scene, but it kind of applies to a lot of the movie, is like the speed of frames at some points were so fast. It was like shot, slice.
When they fly out of a place, they're at like 1,000 miles an hour.
So funny. When they fly out of the temple the first time, he was reunited with Pegasus, and they're like,
it was like outer space.
It's like you were on the ground, and now you were like 9 miles in the sky in a split second. Like, so tall.
So tall.
Tallest. Let's also just talk for a sec. Just some appreciation for the character of Phil.
Okay. Yes.
Great character. That's what I think about this movie is that so many of the characters, there's like the only throwaway characters are the two little imp demon guys. No reason for them to exist.
Yeah,
Don't
merchandising.
I could do without.
They're annoying, but so many of the characters are like they really influence the plot.
Well, technically, they did influence the plot because they transform into other things.
They're also the ones who didn't kill Hercules.
Right. They were the device for...
Which, that's actually true. In the original myth, a god sent 2 serpents to kill Hercules, but he strangled them.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's where that comes
So,
from.
I mean, they are relevant, but they're mostly just like
they
annoying
just
comic
gave
relief.
them the sidekick vibe, and that's why we're like, get away.
Yeah, just not relevant to us as viewers at this point.
Yeah.
But Phil, you know, again, backstory, like interesting perspective, character arc.
Yes.
Randomly was gonna get on a boat and like ditch their asses when the
Yes.
Cyclops was attacking.
Yes.
He was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Where was he gonna go?
Yeah.
Where's that
Nowhere
boat
to go.
Where's that boat go, bro? The whole world's about to be over, like actively right now. Not that he would know that, but you know. I like that all his possessions were in like a tube-shaped sack on his back. It's like, what do you have in there?
Yeah.
I love his backstory and his like his angst that you meet him in that state and how he's convinced.
I think that it's a really good example of, you know, the casting really did it. Because they clearly, when I was reading stuff for this, they watched tape of Danny DeVito delivering his lines and then like baked it into the animation, and you can tell. And I'm so glad they picked him.
Yeah. Perfect.
I also just feel like Danny DeVito's 90s commitment to making really good content for children is just really heartwarming, you know?
It is.
Yeah.
He gave us Matilda and Hercules in like a 2-year span of time.
He tweeted yesterday, like,
I saw.
Because Matilda was in the top 5 popular movies on Netflix yesterday, and he tweeted a picture of it and was like,
he said like nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
Yeah. One thing that I had written at the very end of my notes is that this movie is great. I love this movie. I would watch it again anytime. It's super entertaining. I love it for what it is. I think that at the end of the day, like the thing with it is that Greek mythology just is not a great choice for Disney.
For children.
For Disney.
And
for Disney.
For Disney,
Yeah.
For children, it's hard. I think you'd be better off. There are a lot of like simplified Greek mythology books for children.
Yes.
Those do exist.
Yes.
But to me, it's kind of like, just wait until they can really absorb it.
And a big part of why they ended up picking Hercules is because they wanted to make a superhero movie.
Yeah.
And so this was like the closest they could get. But in picking Hercules, there's so much to his story that's like turns it out to be kind of like Shakespearean and like weird and R-rated and stuff. And that's not to say the movie isn't good, but like again, when it came to the complexity of the Meg discourse we just had, that was like all of the complexity that could have been evenly distributed between all the characters got like aggressively tacked onto her. I think that may be why the movie doesn't like, it's not many people's favorite Disney movie, just because the story can't hit all that hard.
It can't hit as hard as the source material.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
But
and that's common for Disney.
Yeah. But if they had just like zhuzhed the musical situation a bit, like we said in the beginning,
I think it could rise.
It
up
could
the
have been
charts.
so much better.
Because maybe my final thought is like it could have been an even stronger movie musical.
Yeah.
And that might make me care less about all these other things.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It is an interesting one in that it has music basically throughout, as opposed to something like Mulan, which kind of like runs out of music
There's
halfway
like
through.
3 songs.
Hercules kind of does that.
Yeah,
Maybe they ran out of money on Alan Menken's retainer. He was like, you can't invoice me anymore. I mean, also, let's not forget, Hercules drops off after one song. Like, it's just stuff like that and there's other examples of this in Disney movies too, like
tons.
Mulan.
Well, it's interesting because it's sort of like, it's trying to be like skirt this line of like a retelling, and these songs are happening actively in the movie. So it's, you know what I mean? Like it starts off and they're like telling the story of Hercules.
Despite it all, I love this movie. I really like how it looks. I think that it is really unique. And is it weird in parts? Absolutely. I think that the references actually aged really well. Like a lot
of the quips.
They were funny.
They're
like,
funny.
Are they stupid puns? Like, yes.
Yeah.
But like, do I love them? Yes.
Yeah.
They're funny.
There's so much like quick humor in it that I never got until we watched it now.
Yeah.
That it's a fast paced movie. I will say that
it went by
it's
really
fast paced
yeah.
movie.
Yeah, got a lot of ground to cover.
But yeah, I agree. I think that entertaining, really really good music, a very fun watch. I feel like it's just like it's a satisfying story.
Yeah, and especially like if you're, from your perspective, if you're a little boy who's already inclined to like an action sequence and like a fantasy setting, like it's very top of the line.
Definitely.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. But also relatable. He's trying to do something. He's trying to do something, you know? Like
Is he trying to go the distance?
I can go the distance.
Or is he trying to do something? Or is that the same?
That's a good question. I guess his goal is to go the distance.
Yeah.
To find where he belongs.
Yeah.
You know? And he did.
He did.
Mission accomplished.
Like for me, I never got that into Aladdin. I never got that into Tarzan.
You know what's crazy though? His entire goal, let me find where I belong.
Yeah.
He does the thing. He gets up there. His dad's like, hey, you're back.
He's like, hey, my boy.
He's like, I'm actually going to go back to Earth.
And you know why?
For this girl. And that seems a little like I think maybe you should spend a few months up there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe you
like
should.
Like do a trial
Also, we
period.
never acknowledged. And
like he doesn't even know his parents. He just kind of goes up there and is like, oh yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back.
Yeah.
So who's making the rules about that he can't go back up?
Yeah, wait, we forgot about the fact that he loses his powers and then Zeus is like, you need to prove yourself a true hero. And
According
like,
to who?
Yeah.
You're like the god of the gods.
You can make that decision,
Yeah.
no?
You like choose how this works.
I am so happy that we got to do this episode with you. I know it's your favorite.
It was fun. Honestly, I had a great time the whole time we were watching it. I literally had so much fun.
Yes.
I really have nary a critical thought.
What are you up to? Where can people find what you're doing in life?
Wow. So for me, Josh isn't gaming, but he is gaming.
Except
but
he is.
Josh isn't gaming is my YouTube channel. Hannah has been really, hyping me up lately as a RuneScape micro celebrity.
It's actually true though, which
been
is
gaining
the funny
some
part.
traction in the old school RuneScape community. So if that's something you're into, maybe like one person, if that.
There might be more than you think.
In nostalgia based media. You can check me out there on my YouTube channel.
Josh isn't gaming.
Josh isn't gaming. And Hannah and I's band is recording an album, so we're up to that. So look for that on Spotify at some point in the future.
Yes.
And for you guys, shall I let the listeners know where they can find you?
Yes, you should.
Let them know.
Okay. So you can find more from Hannah and Audrey at evergreenpodcasts.com/sleepovercinema and sleepover-cinema because I know you're about to go type in that URL. And keep up with their latest creative projects at twopinkproductions.com. They're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Sleepover Cinema, and they will post a full video version of this episode and each episode on YouTube every Thursday.
You need to post it you need to share it to your community tab.
Oh, yeah, you could.
I'll share it to my community tab. My viewers will be really confused.
You can follow me, Audrey, at Audriana Leach on everything.
And you can follow me, Hannah, at Hannah Ray Leach on Instagram and Twitter. And Josh?
You can follow me at Josh isn't on Twitter, Instagram. I don't think Josh isn't on Instagram. I might be.
I don't know.
I don't really.
You can just go to my account and then
I'm
find
there.
him tagged. Please join our Discord server at the link in the episode description or on evergreenpodcast.com. Having a good time. Join us for chats.
You can check out our merch at twopinkproductions.com/shop. It's still there.
And you know what? If you had a little brother who was like really into Hercules, or if you were really into Hercules, or if you think that Meg is a slut, you
Slore.
a slore maybe,
Or if you think Pegasus is gay.
if you think Pegasus is gay,
He is.
send this episode to a friend. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, letting us know what you would like for us to cover. We only have 4 episodes left of this season, which is crazy.
Sleepover Cinema is a production of Evergreen Podcasts, produced, edited, and engineered by us, Hannah and Audrey Leach. Sleepover Cinema is mixed by Sean Roll-Hoffman with theme music by
Josh Perlman Hall.
executive producer is Michael D'Aloia.
Deuces.
Bye.
I will please the gods. I can go the distance.
Hey.
I will go most anywhere to feel like I belong.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
end.
Didn't slay that one.